Okay, today we're going to be doing a seed dissection, and I've got a corn seed, which is going to be our monocot seed, and I've got two dicot seeds. I've got a kidney bean seed and a lima bean seed. Those are going to be our dicot seeds. We're going to go ahead and get started with the corn seed first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look over the outside of the corn seed, and I'm going to look for this white sort of apron-like structure. You can see it right here, this white apron-like structure. And this is going to be the embryo, and we want to look for that, because if we cut the seed in the wrong plane, we're not going to see the structures that we need to see. So let's go ahead, we're going to cut this white apron-like structure right here. And I'm going to take my scalpel, and I'm going to cut that. Be very careful when you cut this. You do need to hold the seed, but be very careful how you actually cut this seed. So I'm going to cut right in the center of that white apron or embryo. And you can see I cut that right in half. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of Lugol's iodine on it, just a very light coating to sort of bring out some of the structures. So a very light coating. And I'll put just a little bit on the other half of this. I'm going to let that soak in for just a second. And here we go. So let's go over the parts of this monocot seed. And this is going to be a little difficult, but the outer part, you can see that there's an outer tough layer. I'm going to get the dissecting needle underneath it. But there's this outer tough layer. You can see I'm actually teasing back a little piece of it here. Where it was. There it is right there. That's going to be the seed coat, and that is a protective covering, mainly to protect the seed against digestion when other animals eat it. Well, let's take a look at some of the other structures here. The really dark material right there, that's going to be endosperm. It stains deeply black because it's got a lot of sugar in it. So that deeply black staining structure is going to be the endosperm. The lighter, more gray staining region right here is going to be the cotyledon. That's another food source for the developing embryo. And this very light area right in here, almost like a sliver, this very light area is going to be the embryo. That's going to be our developing embryo right there. And those are the structures we want to see. Seed coat, endosperm, cotyledon, and embryo. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the dicot seed. And I'm going to start with the lima bean first. Now this has been soaking for about 8 hours or so it comes off pretty easy. You can see that just by moving my fingers that the seed coat is literally falling right off. So that's the seed coat. I'm going to put that aside, and then very gently, you can see if I point right here, you can see a little bit of the embryo sticking out right there, and we don't want to damage that. We want to try to keep that intact. And I'm going to just ever so gently just give it a little pinch, just a very small pinch. This is a dicot, so it's going to split in two normally. And as I open that up, you can see the two halves of the bean seed. And what you're looking at right here, this is all going to be cotyledon, food for the developing embryo, all cotyledon. And then you can see this structure right here. This is going to be our embryo. So what we can do sometimes, if it's not obvious right away, is I can put just a very small amount of iodine on here. And then I'm just going to pat this. And you can see this white area right here. This is the part of the embryo right here. This is going to be the epicotyl or plumule, And then I like to divide this into thirds. So that would be the top third. The middle third right here would be the hypocotyl, and the lower third right here would be the radical, which will develop into our root. And those are the parts of the bean seed that you want to see. Now lastly, I have a kidney bean here, and you can see if I pinch it a little bit, it's not going to come apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the very tip of the scalpel, hold it like a pencil, actually going to put it in the tray, and just with the very tip of the scalpel, I'm just going to cut through that seed coat. I'm not going to go into the seed hardly at all. And that should be enough to peel away the seed coat. And as you can see, I'm starting to peel it away ever so gently. I'm going to peel that away. That's all the seed coat. And I'm taking care not to squeeze it or pinch it too hard. I don't want to damage the embryo. And you can see the embryo sticking out right there just a little bit. Now I'm going to give it just a little pinch so I can pull this apart. There we go. It should just break in two automatically because it is a dicot seed. Let me move some of these other parts out of the way. I'm going to dab this just a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of iodine on here so to bring out the color, just a very small amount. And I'm going to soak it up just a little bit there. And if we look in here, you can see the embryo right here. Here's the embryo, and then you can see the top part of that embryo right there, that epicotyl or plumule. And then the middle third is going to be the hypocotyl, and then the lower third is going to be the radical. And again, all of this other area right here is going to be our cotyledon, all cotyledon, which is going to be our future food for our developing embryo. And that's going to be it for the bean seed dissection.